Hi there, British Car Stories here. For over a century, Longbridge wasn't just a factory, it was a community. A place where generations of families earning a living built friendships and created memories that would last a lifetime. Millions of vehicles rolled out of its gates. Austin, Mini, Metro, Rover, MG. But behind every car was a person, a worker, a family, a story. For many people across Birmingham, Worcestershire and the wider West Midlands, Longbridge wasn't simply where they worked, it was part of who they were. And for my family, Longbridge was more than just a factory. My dad gave 42 years of his life to it. He watched it grow, he watched it change, and in April 2005, he watched it die. This is the story of the day Longbridge fell silent. By the early 2000s, MG Rover was fighting for survival. Years of uncertainty, decline in sales, and a lack of investment had left the company in a difficult position. Hope rested on the deal with Chinese car manufacturer SAIC. Workers knew times were tough, but many believed a solution would be found. After all, Longbridge had survived difficult times before. It had weathered recessions, ownership changes, and countless rumours of closure. Most people simply couldn't imagine a future without it. But behind the scenes, the situation was becoming desperate. As the negotiations dragged on, cash was running out, suppliers were becoming increasingly nervous, and rumours began spreading throughout the factory. Workers discussed them on production lines, in canteens and in the smoke and shelters. Everyone was asking the same question: would Longbridge survive? Then came April 2005. The deal collapsed. MG Rover had entered administration and everything changed. Friday, the 8th of April 2005, the day thousands of workers feared had finally arrived. Longbridge was all over the television news. Radio stations carried updates throughout the day. Outside the gates, reporters and camera crews gathered as the future of Britain's last major British-owned volume car manufacturing slipped away. I was sitting in an English lesson at Droitwich Spa High School when I heard the news. I don't remember what lesson was about. I don't remember what work I was supposed to be doing. What I do remember is hearing that Rover had collapsed, and immediately thinking about my dad. Nothing else mattered. I didn't care about the consequences. I didn't care about getting detention. I didn't care what teachers thought. I just wanted to get home. I wanted to be there for him. So I walked out. I left school and headed home. At the time, I couldn't fully understand what was happening, but I knew enough to realise that this wasn't just a company closing. This was the end of something that shaped my dad's life for more than 4 decades. While I was trying to get home, my dad was making what was probably the hardest journey of his life. 42 years. 42 years of early mornings. 42 years of shifts. 42 years of friendships, memories and hard work. And now it was over. I often wondered what must have been going through his mind during that drive home from Longbridge. Was he thinking about the friends he'd worked alongside? Was he thinking about the bills that still needed paying? Was he thinking about what came next? Or was he trying to come to terms with the fact that the place he'd dedicated most of his life to was gone? I also wonder what was going through my mum's mind that day. She knew what Longbridge meant to him. She knew how much of his life he had spent there. And she knew the uncertainty that now faced our family. Eventually, my dad arrived home. He walked through the front door. He didn't say much. He sat down on his chair. He switched off the television. He turned off his mobile phone. Then he walked over to the house phone and pulled the telephone wire out the wall. For more than an hour, he sat there in silence. No television, no phone calls, no conversation, just silence. The same silence had fallen over Longbridge. Then after what felt like forever, he finally spoke. What am I going to do now? And then he said something I'd never forgotten. Who is going to hire a 58-year-old man who's not well? those words had stayed with me ever since. Because in that moment, Rover collapse stopped being a headline on the news. It stopped being a business story. It stopped being about administration, boardrooms and failed deals. It became personal. For my dad, for my family, and for the thousands of other families across the West Midlands who were asking exactly the same question: what happens now? As news of the collapse spread, the true scale of what had happened began to emerge. Around 6,000 workers at Longbridge suddenly found themselves facing an uncertain future. But the impact stretched far beyond the factory gates. For every worker employed at Longbridge, there was countless others whose livelihoods depended on Rover's survival. Part suppliers, transport companies, local shops, cafes, news agents. Small businesses that had served Rover workers for years. Many of them would soon feel the consequences too. Across Birmingham, Redditch, Bromsgrove, Droitwich, Worcester and the wider West Midlands, thousands of families were sitting around the kitchen tables asking the same questions. How would they pay the mortgage? How would they support their children? What would happen next? And perhaps the most difficult question of all, would they ever find work again? For many Rover employers, Longbridge wasn't simply a job they had held for a few years. It'd been there for their entire working life. Some had spent decades inside the factories. Others had followed parents, grandparents and relatives through the gates. Entire families had built their lives around Longbridge. When the factory fell silent, it wasn't just a job that disappeared. Part of the community disappeared with it. Part of the identity disappeared with it. And that's something that statistics never truly capture. You could talk about job losses. You could talk about financial figures. You could talk about failed business deals. But none of those numbers explain what it felt like to watch a place that had been part of your life for generations simply coming to an end. For many people, Longbridge wasn't where they just worked. It was where they met lifelong friends, where they learnt their trade, where fathers worked alongside sons, where memories were made, where entire lives were shaped. And now, the future that seemed so certain for long had vanished with almost overnight. As days turned into weeks, the reality of the situation became impossible to ignore. The production line had stopped, the gates were closed, the uncertainty remained, workers began searching for new jobs. Some found opportunities elsewhere, others struggled. Many were forced to start over at an age where they thought they would be prepared for retirement. For my dad, the weeks that followed weren't easy. After giving 42 years of his life to Longbridge, he suddenly found himself facing a future he'd never expected. The routine that shaped his life for decades was gone. The place he had worked for most of his adult life was gone. And like thousands of others, he was left trying to work out what came next. The truth is that Longbridge didn't just close on April 8, 2005. Its impact continued long after the factory gates shut. The consequences would be felt for years, not only by the workers, but by families, their communities, and the entire region that had grown up around Britain's most famous car factory. Today, if you visit Longbridge, much of the factory has gone. The production lines have disappeared. The noise of machinery had faded. The buildings that once employed tens of thousands of people have largely been replaced by something else. To someone passing through, it might just look like another redevelopment project. But for those who'd worked there, Longbridge was never just a collection of buildings. It was a community. It was a way of life. And while many of the factory's building may have gone, the memories remain. The friendships remain. The stories remain. 20 years later, I still remember that day. I still remember walking out of my English lesson in Droitwich Spa High School. I still remember wanting to get home as quickly as possible. And more than anything, I still remember my dad sitting silently in his chair after coming home from Longbridge for what would have effectively been the last time. The television switched off, the phone disconnected, and an hour of complete silence. Then those words, "What am I going to do now?" who's going to hire a 58-year-old man who's not well? Those words never left me, because they just weren't his fears. They were fears of thousands of workers across the West Midlands. Thousands of men and women who had given years, and in many cases decades of their lives, to Rover Austin, British Leyland and MG Rover. People who had done everything they had been asked of them. People who believed the factory would always be there. People who suddenly found themselves facing an uncertain future. Yet, despite everything that happened, this isn't a story about failure. It's a story about people. The people who built the cars. The people who kept the production line moving. The people who turned up every day and gave their lives to one of Britain's most famous factories. And without them, there is no Longbridge story. And without them, there is no British car industry story. That's why these stories matter. Because every year that passes, more memories are lost, more voices disappear, and more of Longbridge history risks being forgotten. But as long as people continue sharing their experiences, Longbridge will never truly fall silent. The factory may be gone, but the people who made it is what will always be remembered. Thank you for watching, and if you, a family member or friend or someone you know worked at Longbridge, I'd love to hear your memories in the comments below. Because in the next video, we're going to be looking at another side of the story. The families of Longbridge. The generations of parents, children and grandparents whose lives were shaped by the factory and the community that grew around it. Until next time, this has been a British Car Stories, and thank you for helping me keep the story of Longbridge alive.